Hey, welcome back to Inzarella Family Farm. I'm Gino, and today we got to go set up some electric net. It is a hot one. I think we're around probably 80 degrees so far. Humidity is creeping up there as well. I'm working on my farmer tan here, trying to get some even coating. So we're going to run onto my neighbor's property with this, and we're going to set it up. We don't have an exterior fence on one side of her property, so that's why we're going to be using the electric netting opposed to the electric wire. So this gives a little bit more of a visual barrier as for the sheep as well as any predators. And then I'll show you something I do to help confuse predators a little bit, or make it more difficult for them to jump over. So it works really well for us. It really doesn't get challenged too much by the sheep because they can see it. It's really easy to see, as well as predators. So it does help. The only issue sometimes we run into, and it's very, very rare, is for deer. And that's usually in the middle of the night when they really can't see it as well, and they either just knock it over, or you can see where it starts sagging where they hit it. So we do move our sheep back and forth. We don't let them sit out there at night. So because of predators, we want them close to the house. That's why they're always up front here where the barn's at. That's where their water is. So it helps to fight off some of that pressure that is brought in by predators. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll get that all up and ready to go. So come along for the ride and see if you learn something. Made it to the destination. This is here, or where the sheep go. It's about, I would say, a quarter of an acre, maybe a little bit more, because it goes on the other side of the pond back there, and the sheep will be able to walk around the pond. They also have access to water there, and they also have access to shade. There's plenty of shade trees, some back on the other side of the tractor there. So yeah, so all right, well, let's get started. So we're going to come over here. First thing we do is we untie this. Hard to do it with one hand. And then we'll go ahead and unroll it. That's what it looks like unrolled. It kind of looks like a mess, but when you pull from the top, it just keeps paying itself out. It does get tangled every now and then in some of the smaller sticks, kind of like those right there, but it's not that big of a deal. The key is to make sure that you put this stuff away properly, and it's best with two people. I have done it by myself, a little bit of a challenge, but it works. So, all right, stand by. We're gonna go ahead and start pulling it out. So what I'm doing now, I'm coming in, and we're going to go ahead and place these at a, and I'm going to be dramatic here, but at an angle, a slight angle. So by doing it like that, sometimes some of the predators, the smaller ones, will have a harder time getting over, because to judge distance, they'll cause concern about getting hung up in the netting. Also, when you're putting these at an angle, if there's any rocks, a lot of times it will either go behind or in front. It'll skip down. So, and I'll show you what I do. And the tighter, the better. So we just, and if you hit a rock, sometimes, like I'm hitting one now, so it really didn't go in too much at an angle because it rode the rock, but it's still enough. If I look at the other section of fence, everything's kind of at an angle here. So we'll keep doing this. And as I do this, I got to leave a little bit of room because the neighbor's grandkids ride quad. So make a little bit more at an angle here. And that's it. Just a light little tap, rubber mallet. These are designed, you can push them in by hand. I like to do the rubber mallet, makes it easy. So we'll continue. So there is a negative wire here on the bottom. I'll show you right here. So you want that to have contact with the ground. That does a couple things. That will allow the animal's hooves to actually kind of feel a little bit of energy as they get closer to the fence, as what was told to me. We mowed a pathway, you can see in the video, so that makes it easier, so we're not shorting out the fence when it comes to all of the vegetation. So that makes it a little bit easier to go to install this. This is pretty quick. Do a little bit of prep work, it goes pretty quick. So I'm going to continue. I have a total of 3 rolls. Each roll's a little over 100 feet. I think 130 some odd feet, give or take. And so I think there's 3 here. We've done it years before, kind of along the same little pathway. So we know that it only takes 3. Now, if you've never, done this before, or you're on a new piece of ground, you may want to measure it and figure out how much you may need. So, and we have perimeter fencing, as you can see, like on the other side of the pond and all that we were talking about earlier. So we're not going to need to do a complete 360 or 4 corners or however. So we just need about 3 for the backside, I guess, for one side of this whole thing. So, all right, I'm going to continue. Okay, these are how these go together. This is the bottom one. They just slide in here. And that's how you complete a circuit. Like that. And that's it. Now, the top one's a little different in the sense that it slides together the same way. But I like to tie it here just to help. And then we take this string here and we tie it to loop these together. Well, I only got one hand, so I can't do it at the moment, but you get the idea. So then these will be tied together, and here we got a strange corner here, just because we had a little bit of extra, so not going to be the end of the world. And then on some of these corners here, like you see that one, I'm going to go ahead and place a T-post to tie it to, and that'll kind of strengthen the corner. So there you go. You can see down there. And we'll hook up the Energizer on that end, and this will be, you can see all that's touching the ground there, and then it goes all the way down that way. And I'm going to go do the same thing you just seen me do on the other two to join them together, and then we're good. So you can hear the sheep. They're excited. Actually, we got thunder, lightning coming, so I'm going to hurry up. So I'll show you the Energizer in a second. All right, still putting the finishing touches on this fence here, but it's another day. So we're going to get it energized here soon. But you can see there's a sag in the fence there. I'm going to show you how to fix that with something called a step-in post. So there it is. All you do is push it into the ground, and there's a black wire there again. That's the ground. So that goes underneath that little peg that sticks out. That's why they call it a step-in post, because you step on that, it goes into the ground, and then we just adjust it accordingly with the little tabs. So these step-in posts are pretty good. They work really well. Problem is that those tabs break off every now and then. Not a big deal, especially with this type of fence. You have more options than one. So if one's broken off, you usually have another option. So anyways, that's that. We're gonna have to fix that side too, because you can see it's leaning. All right, we finally have all this hooked up. This is a Speedrite 3000. They're not sponsoring the video or anything. I bought this a long time ago. It's kind of houses everything. It has the batteries you can see here. You're looking at the back of the solar panel here. Solar panel is facing south, and so we also have a grounding rod right here you can kind of see the tip of, and I'll back this up a little bit so you can see it. There you go. So this grounding rod right here goes into the ground, taps moisture, and kind of completes the circuit. Oh, so don't fall over. There we go. So sometimes you'll need multiples of these depending on how dry your soil is. Coincidentally, I'm in a pretty wet section right here, which is fantastic. So it works well for me. Sorry, I was on a stick there. So anyways, we only need one. There are cases where folks, I haven't done it, but actually will pee on these if they are dry and they don't have water. So they must have one hell of a bladder. But hey, luckily I'm in a really wet spot right here, so I don't have to do anything like that. So let me bring in a little closer and I'll kind of show you how this thing's configured up. Looks like a lot of wires, but it's actually pretty simple. So, okay, we talked about the grounding rod. We'll get you close up here. So basically we have a few things going on. We're able to charge the battery with the solar panel. Then we have a negative black wire, which is right here, which is going to that grounding rod. Then we also have a negative green wire here that is going to the black wire that you've heard me talk about in this video on the bottom of the fence. And then this, well, it's orange, but it's supposed to be black, is to the top here. So I'll show you where this goes here. So for those that are not familiar with this stuff, sorry. So there you go. So it connects there, and it connected on the bottom there. So now you have a complete circuit. And the way we turn it on, so you come right here, and we have multiple settings here. Tortoise is obviously slow, daytime, nighttime, fast. So depending on how many wires, how far you're going out, whether you're getting a lot of pressure from predators at night, during the day, it has some options to help with those situations. So I'm going to turn it on. It just slides. I don't know if you can hear the clicking. And I can't see it, so I don't know if you can, but it's a light. And the more lights that are lit up, the stronger the current. I also have a fence tester that I can test this out with. So, and then again, there's the battery. So it looks like a mess, but it's actually pretty easy. I'm not an electrical guy by any means, so I figured it out. So Then we just check our battery, check our stuff daily. And then here again is the grounding rod, and that's about 5 feet into the ground, maybe a little more. So it just goes down there, and once again, you got to keep it moist. So this pretty much wraps up the fence here. We're gonna have to be getting sheep in here soon. I like this fence. It has its place. If you don't have a lot of brush and stuff in the way, and you don't have to do a lot of prep to get it in and out, it's a good fence. It's pretty easy. It sets up fast. I don't know how it come across on the video, if it came across like it took me forever or not, but it's pretty quick. And they're about 130-ish feet per section, and you could put multiple sections. Obviously, the further out you go, the better energizer you're gonna need in order to make sure that it's properly energized and keeps the pressure off the fence from both the animals and the predators. So I enjoy it. When I'm on the other side of the fence here on my property, I'm completely fenced in all the way around. So I'll run a hot wire or two. And what that'll do is pretty much the same thing. And if they get out, no big deal. They're still in a fenced-in area. If they get out of this towards this direction here, they could be heading towards the road. So that's, again, why we're using this style of fence, this electric net. They make it for poultry. I'm sure you've seen it, for the folks that scour the YouTubes. So you've probably come across it. And it works great for them too. But it's something you got to keep an eye on every day. You got to come check. You got to make sure that brush is not touching it. A limb may have come across it. That's a real thing. Making sure your energy is, the energy level is where it's supposed to be. So it's something you got to check every day. Again, a lot of folks will leave livestock behind this all day, all night, days on end. I've done that before in the past at different locations when I was in California, and it worked fine. But again, it's something you still got to keep an eye on. It's not a permanent, even a permanent fence, you got to go around and check it once in a while. So, but it's a good option. You know, it's good to have options. So, all right, folks. Well, I appreciate you watching, and make sure you hit that subscribe button and the like button. That would help out the farm tremendously. We appreciate all of it. And we're trying to get videos to come out on Fridays mostly. This week's gonna be a little different because we had the holiday, and we're throwing up a couple shorts in the middle of the week. So stay tuned, follow us. We do a lot of things like everybody else does, but we kind of do it our own way. So again, hit that subscribe and like button. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.